Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and we're going to be exploring a rather concerning trend, a trend that could shape South Africa's economic future. There's been a recent report which outlined the fact that young adults, young South Africans, are essentially spending for today and not saving for tomorrow. According to analysis of recent consumer behavior, many South African youth are relying on retail credit and failing to build meaningful long-term savings, even as costs of living climb and financial pressures continue to intensify. The National Credit Regulator warns that this pattern, which is essentially prioritizing immediate consumption over saving, is contributing to rising debt levels and limited financial resilience among 18 to 35-year-olds. So Gen Zs, there you go. And with us now to unpack the data and to outline why young people are doing things this way and what can they do differently is Jimmy Golele. He's a senior education and communications officer at the National Credit Regulator and is joining us via our virtual platform. Jimmy, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views.
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewership of Salam Media.
I think we'll jump right into it to try and maybe understand this trend that was found out, and maybe you can give us some insights on what are some of the key findings that are showing young South Africans are essentially allocating their income between spending rather than saving, and why are we seeing this trend of prioritizing today's consumption over tomorrow's security, as it was always traditionally the case with the generations previous?
I think the current trends that we may be seeing may be in line with what is happening currently, where people are obsessed with trending, having the latest gadget, having the best gadget amongst your peers, and then having the chilled life, showing yourself maybe in a boat cruise or having the most expensive drink, and often this being done using credit. It is one of the reasons why maybe the Gen Zs are spending more than saving. Every little cent that comes is directed towards any of these things that I have mentioned, and most of which are not necessarily needs, but just wants.
But Jimmy, then as a young person myself, I would like to counter that, because I think I fall into that bracket of 18 to 35-year-old South Africans, and this is the conversation that you'd hear normally when you speak to Gen Zs, young people. They'll tell you about the rising cost of living and how things such as rent and food now a bit more expensive compared to salaries, compared to employment rates. We know issues around youth unemployment. Can these be drivers, just general South African financial landscape, and how it is a bit more challenging to save money and to also continue to live a good quality life?
I think you have a point in saying the cost of living is rising, but then the Gen Zs are challenged with the fact that rent remains due, buying electricity remains essential, but at the same time, they have now prioritized non-essentials, such as competing with who has the best gadget, who has the best phone, who has the best Xbox, who has gone to the Bahamas and who has not. So now the essentials compete with the needs. It is the challenge that most Gen Zs may be having currently. And that is compounded by salaries not going up as much as the cost of living is. So that poses a challenge. Now, a young person must make a decision. Do I pay rent first, or do I go to Cape Town and I'll see the consequences when I come back?
But they always say you live once, Prajimi. What must we do?
We hear that, but when you come back from Cape Town and there is a note on your door that either pay up or pack up.
Yeah, no, most importantly, and one thing that was concerning for me is the fact that from your end, from your organization, the NCR, you've warned about the dangers of excessive retail credit use and impulsive borrowing that you're seeing amongst young people. How prevalent is this? How prevalent is this behavior, and what risks does it pose to their financial well-beings, especially into the future?
A study conducted by one of the credit bureaus that we regulate indicates that about 16% of the credit consumers are youngsters. And amongst in that 16%, that is where we find uh, the consumers that are using credit, and some of them struggling to repay and not even saving. So uh, it's something that is concerning, and it's something that this category needs to review and perhaps start prioritizing their needs over their wants. But like I indicated, the main challenge in the current era is the social media life, the influencer life, and trying to make sure that you seem to rise above the rest. So
Mm,
it will take serious financial discipline for this situation to be reined in. And it will also take maybe financial literacy. If young people were to embrace financial literacy, and which is now easily available compared to our time.
mm,
Going back, I think when I was a youngster, you would hardly find any a book on financial literacy. But now you have the internet, it has information galore, you have social media platforms, it has information galore. So if youngsters can embrace this available technology to acquire financial literacy, it can help them make better financial decisions. And then you ask the question about the consequences of using credit recklessly.
mm,
Indeed, it will affect you. For example, you may be a new entrant into the working space, and then you recklessly use credit. At 4 years down the line, you decide you need to start a young family, have a house, and only to find that you have been negatively listed in the credit bureau. And that
mm,
makes it difficult for you to get a mortgage bond where you can take your wife and your kids to live in. And now you end up renting for the better part of your life.
mm,
And
mm,
in
mm,
addition to that, it may also affect your employment prospects. If you are
mm.
negatively listed, you might not get some kind of jobs, particularly in the financial sector.
Mm, very, very concerning. Another thing, maybe this is also for me because when I started working, I found this quite challenging to deal with. Easy access to credit, especially when you just started working. You don't have any debt. You'd get calls from banks. We're offering you this, we're offering you that, including even retail and clothing store credit, which can trap young people, young consumers in these cycles of debt. Are there any practical steps that young people can take to avoid these harmful credit patterns that are induced, especially by easy access to credit and especially, and this one's a big one, retail and clothing store credit?
I think it will go back to what I mentioned earlier on, the importance of acquiring financial literacy. If you have acquired financial literacy, then you are likely to practice financial discipline. You will know that no matter how much the pull factor from the retail space may be, you need to manage your finances correctly. You need to exercise financial discipline. You have to avoid impulsive buying. You need not fall victim to the clause of commerce out there. Because the retailers, all they want is your money. They don't really care about the negative impact that the credit that they are advancing to you may have in the long term. So if you're financially literate and you know that if I make wrong decisions today, I will pay a heavy price tomorrow, then you are likely to make an informed decision when it comes to your finances. And when it comes to saving, I think the mistake that a lot of youngsters, including the adults, are making is that when we get our salaries, when we get our wages or our allowances, we want to reward ourselves first. If we can change the formula, save first, then spend what is left after saving, then that can go a long way. And when we say save, it doesn't mean save half your salary, any little amount. It is developing the habit of saving that will go a long way in the long term. If you save for long, if you invest for long, the compounding or the compound interest will help whatever you are saving to grow and be able to take care of you.
I have a question here. It's coming from one of our listeners on social media. They are asking, I just recently started working. I want to grow my credit score, but I don't want to fall into the deep cycle of debt with clothing accounts. How can I grow my credit score to ultimately get a house later in my life? Any advice on that regard?
My advice would be have an account. It can even be a clothing account or any account. Just don't take too much credit on that particular account. Say maybe a clothing account and you go and buy a few items that you can afford to repay on a month-to-month basis. And when you have that account opened, ensure that you pay every month on time and in full. Because a lot of consumers fall victim to not paying correctly. You find that you pay every month, but you pay after the due date. Unfortunately, that affects you because the credit bureaus will record that as a non-payment. While your balance will go down, your credit report will indicate that you did not pay for that particular month. So it's critical for consumers to pay on time and in full. That way, it will help you build a credit score. You don't build a credit score or a good credit score by having 20 accounts. One account paid well can build your credit score.
They have it. I think some really, really wonderful advice. We also have a comment here from a listener. They're saying good interview, but as a young person or as young people, having the thought of January is over. I worked hard. I deserve to spoil myself. How do you respond to that? This balance between spoiling yourself but still being fiscally responsible.
No one is against anybody spoiling themselves.
It's
What
been
we're saying is,
January. It's a long month.
yes, in January, we know that month that has 3 months in it. And when you get your salary, still prioritize saving something first. Um, the solution lies in balancing this. A lot of people or a lot of consumers, when they get their salaries, they prioritize spoiling themselves, rewarding themselves, and thereafter that's when they want to save. Hence, we are saying when you receive your salary, wages, or allowances, pay yourself first, and by that we mean save. And then when you have saved something, no matter how little, then you can go and reward yourself.
Is there a model of how one should save? Is there a template, when it comes to maybe whatever salary that you receive in correlation to how much you should be spending in terms of percentages from that salary? Or it's as and when, whatever you can just put away? Or is there certain 10-15% of your salary, maybe try and put that away?
There isn't a model that is cast in stone. However, a lot of people who ventilate on these topics would encourage saving between 10 to 15% of your income. However, if for one reason or the other you can't save that much, save what you can. But the bottom line is be saving. Show us something that was saved for that particular month, no matter how small it may be.
No, most importantly, I think it's very, very important to know, just be able to put something away. We are running out of time, but just finally, before I let you go, what would you say are some of the key, important things to remember, especially for young people who are listening right now? Some key takeaways about saving, about debt, and just building good financial resilience as we head into the new year. And today's payday for many, by the way.
Key takeaways are start saving and investing early. Save when you have saved something, move into investing. That is where you will grow your money. and then you will benefit from compound interest. Acquire financial literacy. It will help you make informed financial decisions. Be careful of credit providers that tend to give easy credit. Those that say no credit checks required, pre-approved, and stuff like that. Most of them will lead you to reckless lending, and you will end up over indebted. Prioritize budgeting, and when you budget, do it in black and white and stick to the budget. Unfortunately, a lot of people do draw the budget in their heads, but when they get to the mall, they change and buy a lot of things that were not part of their budget. It's never too early to start. Even from your first month, you can start saving and investing, because a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of people who are new into the workplace say, no, I'm just new. For the first 6 months, let me just enjoy my money, and then I will start saving from month 7. And come month 7, you are already used to a certain lifestyle, which chows all your money. So it's important to start as early as possible, as soon as possible.
There you go, Prachimi Golele, Senior Education and Communications Officer at the NCR. Really appreciate you giving us the time. So thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and I hope we chat again soon.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate the gesture.
There you go. There was Jimmy Golele of the National Credit Regulator on how young South Africans in particular are navigating the trade-off between spending and saving, and why better habits today could ultimately lead to greater financial security tomorrow. You can engage with us as you have been. I think a lot of people, I think, taking a keen interest on this topic. What are some of the ways that you're saving? How are you saving money? How are you navigating this increasingly difficult landscape life that we're living, where the cost of living has drastically shot up, especially as a young people trying to build a life for yourself, trying to save and trying to also enjoy. We're not in this life to suffer ultimately. Someone mentioned that it's been January, it's been a long month trying to navigate it, and finally Payday's here, and they're wondering what should they be doing. But how have you been able to strike the balance between enjoying your life as a young person in your 20s, in your 30s, but also being fiscally responsible, being able to put some away for those rainy days? What tips can you offer that you think have worked for you and other young people can also employ? You can engage with us. Our studio line is 011-680-0355. You can send us a voice note, WhatsApp text on 061-766-0355. Let's engage. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break. News and views continues after this.